comeback from Japan's devastating surprise attack on Pearl Harbor occurred 6 months later, June 4th through 7th, 1942, at and on the seas of the Pacific Ocean surrounding the tiny yet strategically important Midway Atoll during the Battle of Midway. Turning Point was commissioned by the United States Navy Band in commemoration of the 60th anniversary of the Battle of Midway. Under the direction of Captain Kenneth C. Collins, video and narration was added to the music and produced by the United States Navy Band as a multimedia performance venue. Much of the film is actual footage shot during the battle under the supervision of famed Hollywood director John Ford, then a commander in the United States Navy. Ladies and gentlemen, the Reno Wind Symphony now presents Turning Point by retired Chief Composer and Arranger Bryan of the United States Navy Band. We hope you enjoy it as much as we have had putting it together. In the aftermath of the surprise attack at Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, the United States Navy was facing a new reality in the Pacific. The numbers were grim. 2,335 American service members killed, 188 American aircraft destroyed without leaving the ground, 11 Japanese carriers to the United States, 3, 10 Japanese battleships to the United States, none. And yet, within a mere 6 months, a decisive battle would take place upon which the very fate of the world balanced. On a warm, clear morning, with the sun blazing brightly in a sky the color of sapphire, a task force steamed west towards a remote and desolate island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Acting on intelligence provided by Commander Joseph Roqueford's team of cryptoanalysts, Admiral Chester Nimitz had determined Midway Atoll to be the likely target of an imminent attack by the Japanese Navy. This force, with its 3 carriers, Enterprise, Yorktown, and Hornet, would have to stop them. As fortune would have it, the massive weight of this responsibility fell squarely on the shoulders of Admiral Raymond A. Spruance, who assumed command a mere 48 hours prior, replacing the ailing Admiral William Halsey. As they set out, Spruance pondered his objectives: protect Midway, inflict maximum damage on the enemy insofar as possible, but by all means, protect the fleet. Heavily outnumbered, the Americans could only execute their battle plan and hope everything went right. Yet from before the first shot, things began to go wrong. Relying on our hard-won intelligence and calculating that surprise would be the Americans' one critical advantage, Admiral Spruance made the decision to launch his flight groups as soon as was practical. The carefully coordinated plan for which the aviators had trained would have to be scrapped. Sighting the enemy at 9:20 a.m., Torpedo Squadron VT-8 from the Hornet swooped into action. Unaided by fighter escorts, their valiant effort was met with shredding gunfire, and only one pilot survived the encounter. Suddenly, 3 more squadrons from the Enterprise and the Yorktown converged upon the Japanese carriers. Their simultaneous arrival, entirely unplanned, resulted in a perfectly coordinated attack. hours after the fighting began, all 4 of the Japanese carriers lay at the bottom of the ocean. Spruance's decision, though costly, had proven to be the right one. As of June 5th, 1942, the tide in the Pacific had been turned. The astonishing victory at Midway created a ripple effect that was felt throughout the global conflict of World War II. The Japanese advance eastward was halted, and their navy dealt a blow from which they would never fully recover. Spirits at home soared, and production of war materiel accelerated to an unprecedented pace and scale. Precious time was gained in which to rebuild our ravaged fleet. 75 years on, we continue to feel that ripple effect as we pay tribute to those who made it happen. To Roquefort, who broke the code. To Nimitz, who made the call. To Spruance, who made it work. But most of all, to the men in the plains, who faced their long odds and their stern duty with honor, who made the biggest difference in the most important place on earth, a remote and desolate island in the middle of a Pacific Ocean.